I spent $1,800 on Christmas gifts for my sister's kids. On Christmas morning, my son got a pen. Dad said, budget was tight. My son whispered, was I bad this year? I quietly loaded every gift I bought into my SUV, snapped a photo of the empty tree, and texted, gifts retrieved. By 7 a.m., my sister was pounding on my door, until I. Can you believe your own family would make your 8-year-old feel like he was worthless on Christmas morning, just to keep up a lie? Because mine did. And that's the day I finally broke, not with a bang, but with a cold, terrifying clarity that changed everything. Hey, it's Leah. And if you know me, you know responsible isn't just a word. It's practically my entire personality. I'm 35, a project coordinator, the kind of person who pays rent early because late fees genuinely make my skin crawl. And I'm a mom to Max, my amazing 8-year-old, who sleeps with a flashlight under his pillow and says thunderstorms are sky drums. In my family, I was always the one. The last-minute resume editor, the person with all the reward points when someone wanted a trip they couldn't afford. I keep lists for my lists. I set reminders for my reminders. If a problem hit the table, I didn't just solve it. I dissected it, labeled the pieces, and put them in neat plastic bags. Then there's my sister, Jenna. She's 32, with 3 kids under 9. She tells people she's between opportunities, which is a very polite way of saying she hasn't held a job longer than a seasonal temp gig in years. Her husband, Kyle, well, he's a contractor who's always about to land something big. And my parents? They were the Greek chorus of our lives. My dad, with his folksy slogans like, family takes care of family, or it all evens out in the wash. And my mom, with her soft, but oh-so-pointed scolds. Leah, you know, kids are expensive. They're doing their best. You don't get it until you're a parent. I'd always swallow that last one, because I am a parent. The huge difference? I never expected anyone else to pick up my bills. Every year, we do Christmas at my parents' house. Same split-level ranch, same ceramic village glowing on the piano, same plastic tub of tangled lights that no one ever bothers to wrap neatly. The rules were simple. Adults draw names, $40 cap. Focus on the kids. But I never, ever stayed on budget for the kids. I told myself it was because I loved giving. The Messier truth? I was forever chasing a pat on the shoulder that never came. I always hoped that generosity, if I just gave enough, could work like a key, opening a door where my parents would finally look at me with uncomplicated pride. This year, I decided to go big. To be done. I told myself it was a one-time splurge, a grand gesture. I made a spreadsheet, tabs for each child, columns for price, deal codes, running totals that just kept climbing like a reluctant climber up a mountain. I stalked sales, used my employee discount. I bought the tablet for school apps, the Lego Not Star Wars set, sneakers that lit up like a tiny parade. There was a dollhouse with actual working lights that honestly cost more than my first car's insurance. And an art set with those really good markers that don't streak. I wrapped everything with real ribbon, wrote clear labels in block letters, from Aunt Leah. No mistakes, no confusion. Christmas Eve, we pulled into my parents' driveway just after sunset. Frost was stitching the edges of the shrubs, and the sky was that deep, deep blue that makes string lights look like they're floating. Dad was in the garage, beer in hand, wearing his world's okayest grandpa sweatshirt, humming classic rock. Mom was inside, fussing over a ham the size of a bowling ball. Jenna, of course, arrived late. Kids in tow, smelling of vanilla body spray, laughing way too loud. Traffic was insane. We almost died, she'd say, like it was the funniest joke. Leah, Mom sighed when she saw the stack of boxes I carried in. You brought way too much. Deals, I said automatically. A script I knew by heart. Jenna's eyes skimmed the pile. Her mouth did that weird stretch, half smile, half assessment. Wow, she drawled. They're going to lose their minds. We did the rituals. Hot chocolate and mismatched mugs. The eternal debate about whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Dad never lets that one die. We set out cookies. Max fell asleep on the couch, a candy cane clutched in his fist like a tiny flagpole. I carried him to the guest room, with its lumpy mattress, and tucked him under my grandmother's yellow quilt. Midnight came quietly. The house was hushed. I stood by the tree alone, just watching the lights flicker in the window glass, like a second tree outside. This is the part one loved, you know? The before. The whole day, held in a breath. I took a photo from the stairs, the tree, that mountain of boxes, all glowing. I told myself, okay, this is why you did it. This is what it's for. Pure, uncomplicated hope. Morning arrived like it always does. Kids thumping down the hall. Dad jingling the antique sleigh bells he keeps in a kitchen drawer. Mom acting like she's genuinely surprised by a holiday that happens on the same day every single year. Paper flew. Squeals filled the air. No way. I asked for this. The whole room smelled like coffee and sugar. Then Max opened his first present. The box was soft. Socks, I guessed. But inside, a single black click pen. The kind that comes in a 5-pack at the drugstore. He turned it over in his hand, like it might have a hidden compartment. Budget was tight, Dad said to the room. Cheerful as if he'd just solved a complex puzzle with a catchphrase. Max blinked. Was I bad this year, he asked. He tried to make it a joke, but his voice did this tiny, heartbreaking wobble. I felt something inside me pull. Not a bang, not a scream. Just a clean, straight line opening. A zipper, slowly unzipping. Open the next one, I said, maybe a little too brightly. He opened it. More socks. Gray ankle socks, 2 sizes too big. Adult socks. Someone had grabbed the wrong pack in a rush. Or, more likely, not in a rush at all. Just not caring. Across the room, Ellis shrieked over the tablet. Liam hugged the Lego box like it was a life raft. Piper lifted the dollhouse ribbon with reverence. Jenna filmed it all, laughing, narrating, best Christmas ever. Her phone never once pointed at my kid. I looked at Mom. She adjusted a garland that definitely didn't need adjusting. I looked at Dad. He just shrugged, like he was explaining a weather event. We had to prioritize, he said, as if he were a spokesperson for some budget committee. Max clicked the pen. Once. Twice. Click, click. The sound was small and relentless. My mouth tasted like cold coffee and metal. Jenna leaned in towards me, whispering like she was doing me a favor. Don't make this a thing, Leah. It's Christmas. And that zipper just kept opening. You know, the first time I paid for Jenna's kid's Christmas, Piper was a newborn. Kyle's work had slowed down. Jenna called me, crying, from a strip mall parking lot in November. I don't know how we're going to do presents, she sniffled. And I said the sentence I've regretted 100 times since. I've got it this year. 3 hours later, I was in Target with a cart full of toys. Mom texted me, you're a lifesaver. Jenna is so lucky to have you. Lucky? The word felt like a ribbon tightening around my throat. It never went back to normal after that. It became expectation. After that winter, it was birthdays, just because toys, back-to-school shoes, soccer fees, dance recital costumes, minivan breaks, apartment deposits for the kids' stability. When daycare prices went up, I floated them. When Kyle's boss forgot to pay on time, I covered the gap. I was always told I had the good head and the steady job, which, in family code, translated to, you can absorb the hit. And I did. Every single time. And every single time, the next ask got bigger. My parents would applaud me like I was some very competent appliance. Mom, you've always been so organized. We're proud you can help. Dad, family takes care of family. In our house. That meant Leah takes care of everyone else. I got to be the hero, as long as I never, ever asked for anything back. When I tried to pull back, the scripts came out. Jenna, Leah, it's literally a couple hundred. You make that in a day? Do you want them to feel left out? Mom, don't be so literal, Leah. You know how kids are. Why bring money into everything? If I asked for a plan, I got a new emergency. If I asked for boundaries, I got cold quiet, followed by an explosion later about how I was difficult or cold. Love, in our family, was proven through transactions. And I was the card that always went through. Last spring, I finally told Jenna I couldn't pay for swim lessons. I said those 3 words like they were a confession. I can't this time. She texted 10 messages in 3 minutes. $300. They'll drown. You're unbelievable. Then Mom called, with that voice she reserves for when I'm the problem. Leah, you know consistency matters. Don't be cruel. I snapped back. They need parents, not a donor program. And she went quiet, like I'd said a swear word. In August, school supply lists came out. Jenna posted a photo of 3 shopping carts overflowing with spiral notebooks, gel pens, and glitter glue. Caption, back to school haul. Hashtag blessed, hashtag mom life. And in the comments, thanks at Leo for the codes. Codes? As if I'd won some scavenger hunt, and not just swiped my card. Max, my quiet, observant Max, noticed things too. We bought him a used bike off Marketplace. We sanded it on our tiny balcony and painted it orange, his favorite color. He named it Tiger. When Jenna saw it, she just laughed. Ah, vintage. Then she turned to her kids and said, playfully, not everyone gets new everything. It was a joke. It wasn't funny. There were all these small cuts that just kept collecting. A stack of From Santa labels on Mom's counter, all traced in my handwriting. A photo Jenna posted of last year's tree, captioned, we did good. As if the mountain of presents under it had grown there from their effort. The day Ella, my niece, told me, Mom says you buy us stuff because you don't have anyone else, before hugging my waist and asking if I could braid her hair like I used to. That cut deep. By November, the asks were stacking like bricks. Jenna, do you still have a laptop hookup? Ella's school says she needs one. Me, I can't buy a new MacBook. I can maybe find a refurbished Chromebook. Jenna, it's for school. Don't be weird. Mom, I'll send you their wish lists. Do what you can. Dad, text me when packages arrive so I can stash them. Kyle even made a rare cameo. Yo, grab batteries. I kept a notes app tally that looked like a bill of lading. Tablet, Lego, headphones, dollhouse, sneakers, art set, another art set, because the first one wasn't the right colors. Meanwhile, Max brought home a permission slip for a $25 field trip fee. I stared at the calendar until the numbers did a trick in my head, and paying rent made me swallow hard. That night, while Jenna texted links to $120 sneakers and a $260 dollhouse for downstairs at Grandma's, I Venmo'd the $25 to Max's teacher, Mrs. R. I told myself I was being dramatic. I promised myself I'd hold the line this Christmas. A week before, I told Mom and Dad, I'm sticking to budget. Mom just said, we'll see. Dad said, don't be dramatic. Then Jenna texted, we got Max something nice, by the way. I typed, you didn't have to, and let myself relax for a second. In our family, nice means expensive. I thought, maybe, just maybe, we were finally turning a corner. We weren't. Christmas morning. Max unwrapped a pen and socks. The cousins unwrapped my spreadsheet. Jenna whispered that old line, don't make this a thing. As if the thing didn't already exist. Something in me, right then, decided to stop being the faucet. I didn't make a speech. I went to the bathroom, locked the door, and braced my hands on the sink. My face looked like I'd walked into a strong wind. I opened my photos and stared at the picture I'd taken at midnight. That glowing tree, that mountain of boxes. I opened my notes app, the list of itemized purchases with the totals bolded. Then my bank app, the authorization still pending, the balance stacked like Jenga blocks. I splashed water on my face, took a deep breath, and walked back out to the living room. Max was on the carpet, building a skyline out of empty boxes, because honestly, there wasn't much else with his name on it. He'd drawn a road with his pen on a discarded gift tag. Mom, he said when he saw me, can we go home soon? In a bit, I said softly. Want to help me first? He nodded, eager to have a job. I pulled on my boots and coat, and crossed to the door. I'm going to move my car closer, I announced. You're parked right there, Jenna said, pointing at the curb, laughing. Her phone still seemed glued to her hand. Cool, I said. I sounded so normal. But inside, that zipper had finally reached the very end, and the fabric had separated. Two clean halves. I backed the SUV up to the porch and opened the trunk. I walked back into the living room and picked up the first box with my handwriting on the tag. What are you doing? Jenna asked. The laugh had vanished. Tidying, I said. I carried the box outside, then another, then 3 more. Leah, leave it, Mom said, folding a dish towel that didn't need folding. The kids are playing. They're not, I said. Not all of them. Dad stood up with a grunt. Okay, he said, a warning baked into the single word. Don't be petty. I pulled out my phone and tapped the photo from last night. I held it up to Jenna's face. Look at the stack, I said. Now look at the labels. I swiped to my notes. Tablet. Lego. Dollhouse. Sneakers. Headphones. Art set. Olmi. My kid got a pen. I took a deep breath. I'm taking back what I paid for. Kyle finally looked up from his phone. You can't just take the kids' gifts, he said, like he was quoting law. I can take what I bought, I shot back. If it's truly from you, it stays. If it's from me, it comes with me. Dad tried for calm authority. Budgets were tight, he said, for the second time, as if repetition could somehow retrofit ethics onto his words. We had to prioritize the family with more kids. The family with more kids has 2 parents, I said, and I didn't raise my voice. I'm done being the third. Jenna's face rearranged itself. Smile gone, eyes sharp. You've always thought you're better than us, she spat. No, I said. I've always thought if I gave enough, you'd give back. Max came to the tree with purpose, reading tags. This one says Aunt Leah, he said, lifting a box slightly bigger than his chest. Buddy, can you bring anything that says Aunt Leah to the door? I asked. He nodded, serious. A kid with a mission. He moved carefully around his cousins, asking, can I see your tag? I'll give it back. The cousins, because they're kids and kids usually choose fairness if adults don't teach them otherwise, handed him boxes. Jenna stepped to block him. He doesn't get to decide. Neither do you, I said. Not about my money. Not about my kid. I loaded the last of the boxes and took another picture of the tree. One side bare now. The other, proof of what they had actually purchased. I texted the photo to the family group chat. Gifts retrieved. I didn't do it to punish anyone. I needed proof of what had really happened. So later, no one could twist the story. I took Max's hand. We walked to the car. If you leave like this, don't come back. Dad called from the porch. If you mean it. I turned and said, say it plainly. He didn't. He just looked like a man who'd been handed a line that suddenly sounded wrong in his own mouth. Max buckled himself into the booster, his little hands working the clips. I slid into the driver's seat, my heart loud, but incredibly steady. Before I pulled away, I asked, what do you want for breakfast? He thought about it. Pancakes, he said, with too many chocolate chips. We can do that, I said. I put the car in drive and didn't look in the rearview mirror. We went to the diner on Maple, the one with the cracked red booths and the waitress who calls everyone honey, like it's your legal name. Max drew a treasure map on the back of his placemat with his pen. He added a volcano, a crooked palm tree, and an X inside a square he labeled home. He licked syrup off his thumb and asked, can we make our own Christmas at home? He said it like a plan, not a loss. We already are, I told him. My phone vibrated until the battery icon turned a stubborn red. I'd silenced it, but the screen still lit up like a fire alarm. When I finally turned it over, the group chat was a bonfire. Mom, Leah, bring the gifts back. This is not healthy. Dad, you embarrassed us. Aunt Carol, this isn't how we do things in this family. Jenna, are you kidding me? Ella is crying. Kyle, this is theft. Kyle, again, my cousin is a lawyer. He says we could press charges. And then, Mom again. We focused on the kids with the most need. You only have one child. Be generous. That last line. It burned a hole through the screen. You only have one child. As if quantity decides worth. As if my kid's feelings are just a rounding error because he is singular. I put the phone face down. I texted Aunt Nain separately, the one who sends birthday cards with stickers and $10 bills folded inside. Merry Christmas, I wrote. Max and I are eating pancakes. We're okay. She sent back a photo of her cat in a Santa hat and wrote, Proud of you, kiddo. Boundaries are gifts. We went home. I stacked the retrieved boxes along the wall in the living room, under our smaller tree, the one that leans a little to the left because of a bent metal foot. Max helped drag the lighter ones. Do these still go to the cousins? He asked. Most of them, I said. But we're going to do it differently. How? He asked. We'll rewrap and label them honestly. And we'll set some aside for people who need them and don't have a Leah to subsidize their Christmas. And we'll make sure your name is on yours. He nodded like this was the most obvious thing in the world. Can I give something for me? He asked. Absolutely, I said. We opened a few to rewrap. I wrote on fresh tags in big, clear letters, from Aunt Leah. On a sticky note, I put on the tablet, half back to savings, half to shelter. I stuck similar notes on the dollhouse and the extra art set. Not because the cousins didn't deserve nice things, but because the story needed to be true. Around 3, the pounding started. Fists on the door, hard enough to make the wreath shiver. Max jumped. I set a hand on his shoulder. It's okay, I said. And I meant it. Fear and guilt live in the same drawer. And I'd taken that drawer out and dumped it on the lawn. Leah, Jenna shouted through the door. Open up. I opened it. She stood on the porch in a puffer thrown over pajamas. Hair twisted into something that had once been a bun, now looked like a poorly built fence. Mom hovered at the step with a dish towel, part weapon, part prop. Dad paced at the curb like a general who gives orders from a safe distance. Where are the gifts? Jenna demanded, pushing past me. You're ruining Christmas, she said. Her voice had that brittle edge of someone who wants to cry on cue. You were happy to ruin it for my kid, I said calmly. You can cry about labels. It's not about who bought what, she insisted. It always is, I said. You just liked it better when I didn't say it out loud. Mom stepped forward, using her church voice. Leah, bring them back. Your cousins are coming over later. We can sort this out as a family. Sorting it out as a family is how we got here, I said. Here's what happens. Tomorrow, your kids will get the gifts I bought, labeled honestly, from Aunt Leah. You'll tell them the truth. You won't post photos captioned, we did good, like I wasn't there. And you will not hand my son a pen while holding my tablet again. Jenna's chin lifted defiantly. We got Max something nice, she said. It's at home. We forgot it. What is it? I asked. They blinked at the same time. A duet of silence. Kyle said, it's a surprise. For who? I asked. Mom tried kindness like a key. Sweetie, don't make them into villains. They're struggling. I know, I said. They've been struggling for years, and I've been paying so they could pretend it was temporary. Dad finally entered the chat. You've always thought money solves everything. No, I said. You've always asked me to solve everything with money. Silence settled. Behind me, Max tugged my sleeve. Can I show them my map? He whispered. Later, I whispered back. We're finishing something. Jenna pointed past me at the stack. If you don't give them back, I'll tell the kids you stole Christmas. You already tell them Santa is generous when you are, I said. I'm done playing that part. She stared like she didn't know me. Maybe she didn't. Maybe I hadn't let her. You're cruel, she said finally. No, I said. I'm clear. I closed the door. She pounded for another minute, then less. Mom's voice pleaded through the wood. Kyle muttered legal threats to the air. Dad said, enough. Footsteps retreated. Quiet returned. Max handed me his map. He had drawn our apartment building, with a Christmas tree in the window and 2 stick figures labeled Max and M. Next to it, in careful printing, he'd written X marks the spot. I felt that hot sting behind the eyes that isn't sadness. Relief sometimes wears the same shoes. We made Coco. We watched the stop-motion reindeer movie. Max fell asleep on my lap, breathing slow and even. I sat under our leaning tree, my phone on silent, in a room that finally felt like mine in a way I hadn't let it be in years. The next morning, I wrote 3 emails. One to the shelter, asking for their holiday wish list. One to the school district social worker, asking if any families needed winter coats in Max's sizes. And one to my bank, asking for a clean statement of December purchases. Not because anyone demanded proof, but because I needed to turn my habit of solving problems into something that wasn't just about keeping my sister's story afloat. At noon, I drove to my parents' house alone. I set 3 bags of gifts on the porch, with the new, honest tags. I rang the bell and stepped back. Jenna flung the door open like she'd been waiting behind it. This is childish, she snapped. This is honest, I said. She lifted a tag and read aloud. From Aunt Leah. The words looked wrong in her mouth, like she'd been caught, her lips sinking as the track skipped. Mom appeared behind her, eyes wet. We just wanted everyone to have a good Christmas. So did I said. Next year, you can match what you can afford, or you can be honest about what you can't. But you don't get both my money and my silence anymore. I turned and went home. I muted the family chat for 24 hours. Max and I built a cardboard city and drew roads with his pen. He made a sign that said Max plus Mom's City Hall, and I stuck it to the wall with blue painter's tape like it belonged in a gallery. That night, Aunt Nane called. "You okay?" she asked. "I am," I said, and realized it was truly, profoundly true. "Good," she said. "Sometimes the only way to stop being used is to stop being useful to the wrong people." "Put that on a mug," I joked. "I'll glitter it onto a throw pillow," she said. Ugly and accurate. The day after, the noise faded. Jenna posted a photo of the kids holding the gifts. The caption read, "Thank you, Aunt Leah." No hashtags. No we. Just the nouns and the truth. It didn't fix us. It fixed the sentence. Dad didn't call. Mom sent a single text. "We love you." I put the phone down. Love is a verb. I'm still waiting to see which one they pick. That evening, Max and I ate leftovers and played a game we made up with 2 dice and Post-its. He asked if the treasure on his map could move around. "Sure," I said, "as long as we keep the map." I didn't become a different person overnight. I'm still the list maker, the early payer, the helper who holds doors and carries casseroles. I didn't choose cruelty. I chose clarity. I stopped subsidizing a story where my son learns he is less because he is mine. A week after Christmas, Jenna texted, "Can we talk?" We met at a coffee shop halfway between our apartments. She wore sunglasses indoors, like a celebrity hiding from a scandal no one else had heard about. She pushed a latte toward me. "Peace offering." I waited. "I was embarrassed," she said. "At the house. In front of Mom, the kids, Kyle." "I was embarrassed for my kid," I said, cutting her off. "In front of everyone." She nodded. "Tiny, we've leaned on you too much." "Yeah," I said. "I'm not promising a brand new life tomorrow," she said. And for the first time in months, she sounded like herself. "But we'll stop pretending your money is our effort. I'll tell the kids the truth." "That's a start," I said. She stared at her cup. "Can I ask for one thing that isn't money?" I braced myself. "Can you send me that spreadsheet?" she asked. "I don't know how to budget." I exhaled. "Yes," I said. "Because boundaries? They aren't walls. They're just clear lines, showing where one person ends and another begins." And for the first time in a long time, I finally knew where mine was.